Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Keep my head up when I act, head up, that's a fact. Never looking back, I'ma keep myself on track. Keep my head up, staying strong, always moving on. Feel I don't belong, tell my thoughts to move along. Push myself to be the best, die with no regrets. Live with every breath, see my message start to spread. And I had so many dreams, then you hit your teens. Life ain't really what it seems, try to find out what it means. Always do it on my own, so I gotta get through it. And the only thing I know is to love what I'm doing. Never give up, never slow, till I finally prove it. Never listen to the no's, I just wanna keep moving. Yeah, I put out all this art, it's my only medicine. Yeah, everything I do, I'm just being genuine. Yeah, I'm sick of being screwed, feel my own adrenaline. Yeah, I do just what I do, and I hope you let me in, yeah. I'm grateful, oh yeah, able, oh yeah, I'm stable, oh yeah, no label, oh yeah, you know me, I have only a path, I'm lonely, but damn, I'm going to win. I don't want no fake love, I want the real stuff. Everybody listen up, cause I'll only say it once. I'm gonna show you all the path, if you want it bad. I'm gonna show you where it's at, yeah, how you can get it back. Yeah, cause I ain't never done, I'll be number one.
All right. Good morning, gentlemen. Hope you're great. Hope you've had a great weekend so far. What is it? Saturday. We're live. Welcome to the live. Couple things to talk about. Off the bat, let me just get this into the screen. It's going to show up kind of disproportionate, and then I'll just fix it. There we go. Source list is officially launched. That wasn't hard. It came up right away, right the way that I wanted it to come up. So finally, a vetted set of sources for anabolics and ancillaries and hormone hacking agents. The reason I did this, aside from it being a good business opportunity, was this is an important thing to have in a world where, you know, a lot of things have happened where, first of all, we're all seeking good high quality compounds, especially if our clinics aren't able to help us in the way that we might want to, or people have personal goals to be on cycles or whatever. But aside from that, just regarding TRT, I mean, lately, Defy Medical, partially due to the hurricanes, but I mean, this started happening prior to that, has been out of test prop. You know, I run their cream and they've sent me different cream. It's not come from Empower, which is where it usually comes from. So there's some sort of issue happening over there, and I don't really know what it is, but in these cases, it's like, yeah, I had to buy some UGL prop, you know, and find, you know, over the years, developed good sources for these kind of compounds. And, you know, I'm perfectly happy with it and it's perfectly great, but I wouldn't have had to do that if Empower hadn't basically kind of downscaled propionate for now. So the source list is officially here. Not only anabolic agents, testosterone, any ester you can think of, but Proviron, DHT, pure DHT, raw DHT, DHT gel, DHT powder, obviously AIs, erectogenic stuff, you know, everything you can think of that we typically deal with, including oral anabolic steroids, etc., all on the source list, literally live right now, livecortex.com. I'll leave it on the screen for just a little bit so that folks can, you know, be reminded that it's here. And let's talk shop. All right, so yeah, I cycled off, just so folks are curious about like my cycle situation. I cycled off of testosterone enanthate running 525 milligrams a week. I had a really great time. I built a good bit of muscle. I gained a lot of fucking strength, a lot of strength. That was the most surprising thing. You know, my physique really changed, started changing at like week 3, and then it basically continued to change. Interestingly, I've been off of the cycle for, I want to say, about a week and a half. And I haven't lost any size, but I am running effectively what is a testosterone cream cycle of about 65 milligrams a day, which I think equates to about 455 milligrams a week. If you take a 200 milligram per milliliter cream and it's 20% cream, you measure the dose times 0.20 or 20%, you end up with the milligram quantity. So I'm running about 65 milligrams a day of that. No side effects, feel fucking great. It's very easy to manage and sustain. I got to take a very tad bit of Aromatase either once a week or split it up into smaller doses once every 4th day or so. and it works out really, really well. So I'm having a good time on it. Honestly, I don't see myself changing. You know, I've ran TRT doses for the duration of time that I've been on TRT, and sure, I can dial them in as well. But you know, there's there's less anabolism. You know, for me personally, there's a little less energy. There are benefits to being excessively super physiologic, somewhere around the 3,000 to 4,000 nanograms per deciliter range. And so far, I'm enjoying it. My bloods look really good, and you know, I will be keeping folks posted on that as time goes on. Anything else we have to talk about? No, not really. Let's just get right to questions and chat with you people. We're gonna filter some folks here on a Saturday morning. We're gonna fucking talk shop, bro. All right, so let me move the source list over here, put it right in the corner over there, and let's begin. Let's begin. Mad Cap, what's up, bro? How are you? Aside from cabergoline, how do you lower prolactin? Well, there's a variety of different ways, man. I think the lowest hanging fruit would just be to take P5P, but it's a tricky compounded dose, so you have to dose it spread out throughout the day, ideally in between 25 and 50 milligram quantities, and do that several times a day. This way, you don't get any side effects. You don't get any overstimulation. I mean, that stuff can make you edgy because it's making you make other neurotransmitters too, stimulant ones. And dopamine in and of itself can be pretty stimulating. So if you just run 25 to 50 milligrams 3 times a day, or even twice a day, that's one of the best ways to do it. This has been studied both as an alternative to cabergoline in serious cases of hyperprolactinemia like pituitary adenomas, and as an add-on which is effective and doesn't interfere with cabergoline's action, but still contributes its own basically synthesis of hypothalamic dopamine, which is what you need in this case. Also, P5P is one of the best things to regain libido, you know, like the mental side of libido back. It's actually very, very powerful for that via the synthesis of dopamine happening in the limbic area and the... What is happening here? Is sound hold on. Is sound not good for you guys? Is sound okay? I'm gonna make sure sound is good. I'm getting some disconnecting. Okay, I think I'm back now. Yeah, if sound is fucked up, please let me know, guys. Okay, so other than P5P, you've got a compound called Schisandra, which I found is useful for lowering prolactin, but you have to dose it pretty high. Yeah, volume is good on this thing. You got to dose Schisandra pretty high, in the tune of like 2 to 3 grams a day, in order to get some pretty significant prolactin lowering effects. So, I mean, if you combine that with P5P, you have a pretty powerful combination of stuff that's going to lower prolactin. Additionally, just dihydrotestosterone alone, which I'm not really sure you could get from just a TRT protocol. Like, I think you'd have to take it exogenously, or you would have to take Proviron. Those things block estrogen's prolactin secretion. So estrogen induces prolactin secretion via a mechanism on D2 receptors on the human pituitary gland. And you can basically block that with dihydrotestosterone. There's a big long paper on it which explains it pretty clearly. So, you know, those are really your options here. I mean, there's other drugs besides CAB that are in the same class, like the ergot derived dopamine agonists. But, you know, I quite honestly, looking at the literature and looking at experience, cabergoline is the most effective for doing that. So if you didn't want to take CAB, you know, just run P5P, Schisandra, and you can even run low dose vitamin E every day, and that would definitely lower your prolactin. Assuming you don't have a tumor that's secreting prolactin, you would be just fine. Again, can some of you guys confirm if my sound is okay? I got one guy saying sound is barely hearable. It might just be your volume, but if it is my issue, I'd love to fix it. Okay, Devil Dog, did I change my diet on higher doses of testosterone? No. At the time that I started that cycle, I had been running a very boring diet. And this is what any bodybuilder or any person that, you know, just has a very particularly consistent diet that is healthy and good for them will tell you, which is that the diet is just very boring. You know, in the morning, bacon and eggs with an English muffin, at around 11 or noon after a heavy workout. Again, just basic shit like a protein source, a carb source, and a vegetable source. For me, it's usually like pork loin or just beef. Rice is honestly one of my favorite things. I feel like I was like Asian in another life. I truly never get sick of rice. Just some salt and some Tabasco on the rice, and I honestly fucking love it. And then depending on the day, just whatever vegetable kind of I feel like eating. It's sprouts a lot these days because I think it's important to get enough vitamin K2 to keep your arteries clear of buildup of calcium. And I honestly just love sprouts. So like that's like my lunch meal. Now dinner time varies, but it's the same template. It's like if I'm out, I'll probably have something a little less healthy, like some wings. But inside at home, when I cook most of my meals, again, it's a tuber, it's a protein source, it's a vegetable, or it's a protein source, it's rice, or a similar carbohydrate like some plantains, and then a vegetable. It's just very basic real food. So no, it didn't change on cycle, but I can tell you if I was eating like shit, like I have been at some points, like I did during, the first year of the COVID lockdowns, then I don't think I'd be able to tolerate high doses of testosterone. I just definitely don't. If I was drinking a lot of booze, I wouldn't be able to tolerate it, man. All these things contribute. If I wasn't running every day, I wouldn't be able to tolerate higher doses of testosterone. So yes, my diet, has been largely the same for a while, and it's been very boring. But I do think that it's a huge contributor to being able to tolerate higher doses of testosterone. Again, I was one of those guys, like I think a lot of you are or may have been, where 200 milligrams of cypionate gave me side effects, and these days 500 of enanthate is like preferable. So volume seems lower than usual. Don't know if it's on my end. So that's you again. I think you're the one that said that before. Yeah, it might be on your end. You need to see if you can figure that out. No one else is saying that. Everyone else says sound is fine. Yep, it's definitely you. Okay. Simon Stone, you mentioned that the aromatase enzyme itself can be important for libido. Yes. And then anastrozole can negatively affect that. Is it the same thing with aromasin? It can be, but these drugs work so fucking differently that you don't knock out a substantial amount, depending on the dose, of course, of the aromatase enzymes immediately with aromasin. But with anastrozole, it is the more powerful of the two for fucking sure. And it drops estrogen quicker, sooner and more pronounced of the two, definitely. So with anastrozole, like the bottom line is for the most part, aside from some anomalies in one study, the human male needs aromatization to estrogens in the brain to maintain libido. Okay. Now, obviously, and painstakingly, this is a fine fucking window, meaning you want some aromatization, but you don't want excess aromatization because that starts blocking dopamine in areas you don't want to block dopamine. And anastrozole, like, because it's so powerful and made for a completely different application, which is, treating breast cancer, it shuts down the brain aromatase very quickly, and the estrogen drops very low, very fast. And when that happens, it's like you can be at 20 estradiol and be fine. But if you went from 55 to 20 in a day, it's going to shock your system. It just shocks the hormonal system. And so your libido goes completely out the fucking window. The aromatase, yes. Aromatization of androgens into estrogen in the brain is important for libido. But again, not too much and not too little. This is why I think aromasin is very useful, because if you start low and go slow, which is the strategy for AIs, period, then you really don't have a significant chance to fuck things up. You really only want to take aromasin relative to this stuff I've heard it said, and I kind of agree, that there's two major reasons you want to take an AI. One would be gynecomastia starting to develop, but the second would be dick problems that aren't attributable to something else. Yeah. And the littlest bit of aromasin, like the moment my boners get lackluster, I'll know it. It'll happen in the matter of 3 or 4 hours, because I'm just aware of it, as I guess a sexually active person. So yeah, a little bit of aromasin and that's fixed. That's fixed right away. So yeah, I hope that answers your question, brother. Healing Unyielding says, you inspired me to start doing cardio. Awesome. Yeah, naringin and nattokinase, especially nattokinase, is pretty useful. Nattokinase is more for breaking up blood clots or just adding to the raw materials that you use to control clotting. But cardio will, if these things didn't budge your hematocrit, cardio almost definitely will. Again, people who run have sports anemia, where they effectively have low levels of hematocrit and iron as a result of cardio. It's not clinically like a problem, you know, but it does happen. And when I ran back in the day, I mean, I have bloods from when I was a runner, you know, 15 years ago or something. And yeah, my hematocrit was like 40 39 at certain points. So yes, start doing the cardio and that's going to help a lot. But importantly, it's going to help a lot of other things too. You know, it's going to help your brain function better. It'll help you tolerate higher levels of tests, probably due to a better neurotransmitter profile. That's what I think the mechanism of cardio-induced like tolerability of high levels of exogenous androgens is. Androgens found in the penile area, testosterone and DHT. DHT, though, is the primary maintenance androgen in the restoration of erectile quality in both castrated rats as well as humans in general. Yeah, I mean, I think it's not that DHT is, you know, significantly structurally different or has different mechanisms. It's just that it disassociates from the androgen receptor a lot less. Like it just stays agonizing the receptor and activating it and forcing all this genetic activity for longer. It's like 5 times longer than testosterone. So you're really looking at dihydrotestosterone. You know, this is why in any penile rehab strategy, you must have DHT exogenously in the picture. You know, I'll just say that, like, I'll just say it. Like, I don't think people should be trying to rehab the male penis, especially if you've got fibrosis or you have PFS or you had some longstanding sexual dysfunction induced by androgen deprivation. You should be taking DHT. So that is what you're looking at right there, brother. All right, cool. Yeah, I thought the audio was, I mean, nothing's changed here, so I don't really see how that could be influencing it. Simon Stone, does visceral fat also cause increase in aromatase activity, or is it just subcutaneous fat? I don't know the answer to that question. I think fat in general is going to make you aromatase. I mean, that's where some degree of your aromatase enzymes exists. Yeah, so I mean, you want to be as lean as possible. You know, regarding visceral fat and comparing it to subcutaneous fat, I don't think anyone knows the answer to that, but I think we should just assume that it probably is similar. Okay. Ryan Parsons with the $5 super chat. Thank you, man. Really appreciate that. And good. Okay, great. Awesome with the sound. Very good. Thank you guys for getting back with me on that. Who could ever get sick of rice? It's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like, bodybuilders eat a lot of rice, and it just, the thing I found about having a diet that keeps you lean and keeps you in great shape is that, I guess, from the outside perspective, it seems very boring. Oh, I eat the same thing every day. Like, it's not boring to me. After the gym, which now I go, well, different times, honestly, but I mean, these days it's like 11 a.m. or so, running and then lifting weights first and then doing a run, like a HIIT session. I am so excited to come home and eat my avocado, rice, you know, pork loin, Brussels sprout meal. It's the same meal I had yesterday and the day before and the day before. I'm not sick of it. I'm not sick of it. I'm not sick of the bacon and eggs I eat in the morning. How could I get sick of that? And I'm not sick of a similar type of meal that I eat at nighttime. I just don't get sick of it. And rice is one of those staples in my diet. I mean, if you think about the Japanese, Korean people, Asian people in general, they eat a ton of rice. They don't get sick of it. You know, it's the perfect carbohydrate, in my opinion, for somebody who's active. Yeah. I mean, if you're sitting on your ass all day, maybe it's a little high glycemic index compared to some other slow digesting carbs, but I love rice, wouldn't go without it, and it's one of the easiest things. If I'm hungry, yeah, give me a protein source, give me some rice, give me some Tabasco, and give me some salts, and then give me a vegetable, and I'm good to go. Sam is asking, what dosage and frequency would you recommend for HCG before jumping on TRT? And can you take it forever if it fixes low test? I don't really see a problem with consistent HCG monotherapy, which is what you're referring to. Yeah, that's not a problem. Dose and frequency, you want to start at like kind of the routine suggestions, about 2000 IU a week. I would be injecting that every other day. I'd be injecting whatever that ultimately means every other day. So if you just do 2000 divided by 3.5, then you get your answer on how many IUs every other day to inject. I think it's a viable strategy, you know. I mean, yeah. I will say that the only reason this comes up is people have reservations about TRT, and most of them aren't warranted. You know, I had a call with a new client yesterday who, you know, had a bunch of ideas about it just seemed overwhelming. We're fixing sexual dysfunction in this person, and having to jump on DHT, having to jump on TRT, obviously gonadotropins, etc. Seems overwhelming and whatever, but most of the reservations people have going on TRT itself are just unwarranted. All it is a lack of information you have in your brain. So like if you fear what you don't know, right? Once you get to know what's going on and how to dose test, it's really fine. But to answer your question, it'd be like 2,000 IU a week. It's split that up into every other day injections. Josh Walker, what would you suggest as a starting point to recover from PFS? Already on 250 milligrams testing. So you have one starting point. Again, I've discussed this at length before. I can't give you a consult over, a super chat or a comment here. If you want to super chat it, I would be able to give more detail, but you want to be on test. You want to be on gonadotropins. Everybody on PFS should be taking exogenous DHT, in my opinion. And you want to manage estrogen. When you block the pathway of test converting to estrogen or test converting to DHT, which you do with finasteride, with dutasteride, with any 5-AR inhibitor, well, then your body has to metabolize that testosterone somehow, right? It's going to metabolize it into the other metabolite that it knows how to metabolize testosterone into, which is estradiol. And so you must therefore control estradiol. It doesn't need to be like knocked down to 15. You still have to find your range, and that might be 35 to 55. It really depends on your test dose ultimately, until you get to a threshold where it doesn't matter what the test dose is, your estrogen's too fucking high, and that's usually above 65, 70, kind of right around that area. And people are going to be different. Yashir, does Masteron really substitute Arimidex for estrogen maintenance? If yes, what dose can be used? Well, I think so. Yeah, I think Masteron's pretty effective for that. Seems to be hit or miss. I mean, there's people that think that find that Primobolan is a better estrogen control agent, DHT derivative than Masteron. Then there's others that Masteron is very useful. Oddly, you also find people where Primo knocks out their libido, but Masteron doesn't. They just have hard erections and they're fucking horny all the time on Masteron versus Primobolan. And then you have some that's the other way around. So, it's probably just a matter of that individual compound or that individual person getting in their kind of estrogen homeostasis range with whichever of those compounds. That's basically the bottom line. I don't think that they're much different in terms of estrogen reduction, capacity. I think they're pretty similar. Test cream is godly. Yes, it is. It's fucking easy. I mean, right now I'm rubbing 7 pumps a day, which is about 3 pumps more than the traditional dose. I'm running 5 of those pumps in the morning. I really like the morning boost. So 5 pumps on the shoulders in the morning, and then 2 pumps at about 2 p.m. 2 p.m. Yeah. And then I'm just letting it go for the rest of the night. I probably start troughing in the middle of the night, which I like. I like to trough, and then I wake up and I'm ready to dose again. But yeah, it's one of the easiest test modalities ever. From my clinic, because they had this big delay recently because of the hurricane and hurricanes, but some other reasons too. I think that Defy Medical and Empower are having some issues right now. Even prior to this, they had been delayed on sending me the testosterone enanthate that I was using, and then it recently came in the mail, right? Like 4 beautiful vials of testosterone enanthate. And I'm like, I don't even give a fuck. I like cream. I'm on cream right now. I'm not going back. I changed from that cycle of enanthate. And so I think the fast acting stuff is just so good. It's so good. You get to trough. It doesn't constantly stick around. It's better on your health. I'm telling you, if there were studies on this, we could prove that it's better on your health. Yeah. I mean, it's almost definitely going to be better for people in terms of avoiding side effects. I don't think there's any question about that. Guys, as I said in the beginning, the source list. The source list is officially here. You now have a vetted list, okay, of the places that I go when I open my laptop and need some test prop. If I need some Masteron, if I need some Primobolan, if I need some Tadalafil, if I need some Aromatase, if I need to re-up on the DHT powder, raw standalone, boys. If I need to get some more DHT gel and Dractum and rub it on the shaft, for boner purposes. You've got all the sources. These are the sources that I use. These are the sources that have been vetted. It's taken me about 3 years to confirm the validity of all of these sources in here, because I had to use their products. I had to use their product. Can't just take other people's word for it. I had to use their products, you know, and compare it to pharmaceutical grade or otherwise, you know, pharmacy prescribed stuff. Like the sources on the source list, if you get testosterone propionate from them, it is indistinguishable in my experience from Empower Pharmacy testosterone propionate. It's very fucking good. So the source list is officially here. Vetted sources for anabolic agents. Test obviously of all esters. Every ester you can think of, even the fucking obscure esters. If you want to try crazy obscure esters, you can do that. Proviron, obviously. DHT itself, that's been an important one. I mean, it's just not been available for people, and that's an unfortunate thing. You know, the legal status really of DHT in the States. Obviously, AIs, erectogenic drugs, and more. Source list is officially live, livecortex.com. livecortex.com. Yeah, Sheer, what can I do if someone is on TRT and you need to travel for 2 to 3 weeks and don't want to take the test anything? If I take a big dose, will it put my estrogen high during travel? Yes, it will. It will do that. Yeah. I mean, you have 2 options here. You could either forget about whatever reason you have not to take the test with you. I would just take it with you, and unless you're worried about some sort of legal limitation or some sort of travel TSA limitation, which you don't have to worry about if you have a prescription for it. You'll be fine. Or the other option would be to take your high dose of Enthate. If you're going to be gone for 2 to 3 weeks, just take kind of like, I mean, I don't know what you dose. If you dose 200 a week, I'd probably dose about 500 milligrams at once if I were you. Yeah, and just put it in a muscular depot. You might have some side effects if you're not used to that. You might be overstimulated for 3-4 days. It's difficult to say exactly what's going to happen. This stuff doesn't always act the way that it's supposed to act in the body, especially if you're injecting a lot at once. So like the depot gets dispersed differently in that case. And if you do that, make sure you have some Aromatase, you know, or whatever you use for estrogen control if estrogen fucks with you. You know, in which, if in this case, it probably will, because you'd be dosing a good amount. Otherwise, though, if you can swing it, just bring it with you. Honestly, bring it with you. So you don't have to worry about that kind of shit. Now, what happened to me last time I had to travel and I did this is I pinned a milliliter of testosterone cypionate, which was 200 milligrams, and that was fine. That was fine. I didn't need to really fuck with estrogen at that time with that dose. It was like everything stayed pretty fine. I didn't have any side effects, and so that was that. But 2 to 3 weeks is, you know, a little longer over time. So you might want to consider bringing it with you. Or, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know what your dose is, but maybe just dose like 400 milligrams at once. You might have some side effects, but, you know, that's the choice you're going to have to make. Awesome. Glad you're here, brother. Alex Piloto, would you take DHT and Proviron at the same time? I personally, the use case that I could see where this would make sense is if you're using DHT as a erection maintenance or erection restoration agent, and you simultaneously need to have an AI, like an actual aromatase inhibitor in your regimen, and you don't want to take the traditional AIs. Here you would be taking DHT for the erectogenic properties and Proviron as an aromatase inhibitor, which it is mildly. Yeah, it will mildly block aromatase. So that's really the use case for that. I don't see a need to be taking the both of them in many other use cases, although I could probably think of some, but not off the top of my head. So that shows you it's not like some critically relevant, like super strategy or something. I mean, you're kind of getting overkill. You're going to lower the SHBG with both of these compounds. Although I would probably wager that, I don't even know the answer to this. Which has a higher affinity for the SHBG, DHT or Proviron? You would think DHT, but Proviron has a pretty high affinity for that SHBG. So I don't know. Again, it's not suggested because it's redundant, but in the case that you don't want to take a pharmaceutical AI, but you also want DHT for erections or whatever, and then you want Proviron as an AI and to free up some free hormones, then yeah, I mean, you could take them together. It's just not something that people commonly do, is what I would say. Josh Walker wants to run a blast, perhaps. If you're going to run a blast with testosterone and masteron, what would be the ideal ratio between the two? You'll have to see, man. You'll have to see. The ideal ratio is the ratio at which you don't lower your estrogen low enough to cause sexual dysfunction. Yeah, or libido problems. That's or joint pain or whatever. That's the ratio that works best. I mean, I've rarely seen it be the case with Primobolan as an example with clients of mine that like a 1-1 ratio works, like running 200 of Tast, 200 of Primobolan, that they've always got to run lower levels of Primobolan. Increasingly, I'm seeing people having to run less Primobolan than is even suggested. Maybe on 200 Tast, people are like, oh, run 100 Primobolan. I'm seeing people have to run like 50. Otherwise, estrogen goes too low. It'll eventually go too low and they'll lose a little libido. So if they want like a sustainable period where you just knock estrogen down a little bit, you get a good bit of that kind of Greek god-like anabolism. Primo's fucking crazy for anabolism. It's actually fucking, people mutate, dude, very quickly. I used it for a short period of time, and in the week I was using it, my body changed and way faster than on testosterone. So it would be the ratio where you don't get dick problems and you don't get low libido over the course of like a 2 to 3 week period. What's sustainable? What will be sustainable for you? That's what you've got to figure out. If it was me, and I'm running a blast of 350 milligrams of testosterone, then I would personally be running like 50 milligrams a week of Primobolan, and that would be somewhat comparable to the dose of Masteron that I would use if I were you. Nicholas, are you just using TRT? Yes, you're looking swole. Yeah, I'm right now basically running a testosterone cream cycle, which is fucking unheard of. Maybe I'm the first person to do it. I'm reporting on it. I'll report on it, guys. It's actually very cool. It doesn't overstimulate me. I feel great. I'm effectively running 65 milligrams a day of testosterone cream, which is 7 pumps of 200 milligrams per milliliter. So comes out to 455 milligrams a week. It's slightly less than I had been taking for the previous 3 months of 525 of Anathate, but it's fast acting, then tries to clear the system sooner. So it's a little bit different. Am I slightly less anabolic on it? I haven't lost any strength. I don't think I've lost size. Might be a little less water retentive just as a result of not constant, like steady state androgens, which I like. And that's it. But yes, I'm technically not using TRT because the doses equate to a mid-level cycle. Yeah. What's with a stringer all the time? I know it's not that hot. Great question. Chris, clothing is chosen by how it makes you feel, not how it makes you look to other people. That's funny. It's been a minute looking awesome. Yeah. Oh, you haven't been here for a while. What's happening, brother? Yeah, I've been taking a lot of testosterone, man. And, trying to figure out how to tolerate it, at least initially. And then, because I had some test flu in the beginning, but over time, I just fucking feel great on higher levels of test. And I'm curious to see how long I can tolerate it and what the bloods will do over like a 6-month period of being at like 3,700 nanograms per deciliter of total test. Yeah. It's like the first time I really went up there into I think it was like 3,200 or something total test, was on 70 milligrams of testosterone, propionate, and 3 pumps of cream every other day. So at the peak, I was at like 3,200. And that was kind of like, it just seemed like a modest bump up from just like regular TRT at that point. I felt great. And, my body started changing positively. And I was like, dude, this feels better. This actually feels better. Now, obviously there's a point at which it becomes unhealthy if you're running, my professional assessment would be like between a gram and a gram and a half a test if you're an unhealthy person, meaning you drink, you smoke, you don't do cardio, and you don't take fucking vitamins, you don't eat well. Then I think it could potentially be unhealthy. It really is all about managing blood pressure, which mine never moves one way or the other on TRT or on testosterone cycles. Doesn't fucking move. What kind of fucking question is this? Oh my God. All right, Jay, I'm attempting to dial in on prop while taking topical minoxidil and dutasteride. Any tips? Yeah, remove the minoxidil and the dutasteride. Those would be my tips. 30 milligrams every day of prop with 35 milligrams every day of primo, and still need 12.5 milligrams of Aromatase every day. Yeah, that's because you're taking dutasteride and minoxidil. That's why you need that. So your test isn't converting to DHT, and it's siphoning right to estradiol. This is a clear example of blocking the pathway of reduction to dihydrotestosterone. This is a bad idea. Yep, I see men every day and have for about 7 years that have serious life-changing sexual dysfunction and cognitive symptoms as a result of taking minoxidil, dutasteride, finasteride, saw palmetto. You don't want to be fucking with this stuff, man. Not sure what what channel you've been watching, or if you've been feeding into hair cafes complete utter bullshit. But yeah, no, those drugs have a much higher percentage. I just had this conversation with a guy suffering who came to me yesterday, and he's like the 70th over the years about this. And he's like, yeah, the 1 to 3% side effect rate is bullshit. I'm like, I know, of course it is. Of course it's fucking bullshit. Merck was forced to admit in court that they knew that not only suicidal ideation, but long-standing erectile dysfunction was a side effect of their drugs. You look like you ate Ryan from 3 years ago. Yeah, 3 years ago, 3 years, I was in okay shape. It was really the first year of COVID lockdowns where I looked like shit. I looked like shit, dude. I looked like fucking shit. I had high tests, but I wasn't doing anything about it. Gyms were closed. I wasn't going. I could have worked out at home, but I wasn't. I was drinking fucking tequila. I was in a shitty relationship, and that brought me down even further. So I wasn't on my game at all. The only game I was on at that point was Nootropics. I was on that game. But, not really the health game. And I'm thankful that I've transformed that around and won't ever go back. I was very healthy before. I guess it goes to show you what happens when you are in a bad relationship. Because before that, I was great. Never again, though, dudes. Never again. Never again. Brother. Why remove topical minoxidil? Because it goes systemic. Despite what people are going to tell you, it goes systemic. Do I use anything to keep my hair? Yeah, I take some tocotrienols, which is really the only, besides some of these compounds, the only safe compound that you can take that's got literature behind it that shows that people regrew their hair taking it. So yeah, I take a good degree of tocotrienols per day. I derma roll once or twice a week. In the shower, I just kind of fucking draw blood with a 1.5 millimeter derma roller. So I'm microneedling, which definitely helps. It just helps. I can feel it helping. I can see it helping. So I also, though, have good hair genetics. It's not bulletproof because you can nuke your shit with a lot of Provider or a lot of DHT. There's no question about it. But for me, it takes a lot. It takes a lot. And it's not just, 155 DHT, or double and a half the top of the reference range of DHT to do it. It takes double and a half top of the reference range as well as exogenous DHT at high doses to start frying my hair. Yeah, I was born with a full head of hair. My grandfather died with a full head of hair. Every baby on that side of my family is born with a full head of hair. So genes are largely at play here, but some of these other things help as well. Yeah, sure. Have you ever run test enanthate and prop in the same cycle? Well, I have. There's been days running the testosterone enanthate where, especially in the beginning periods of getting on testosterone enanthate, where I had to build up, because that stuff takes some time to reach steady state in the blood or reach higher levels, that I was dosing prop like to feel good, right? Because if you just switch from like prop to enanthate, you might have to load your enanthate, like just like dose 200 every other day or 250 every other day for like a week, and then you'll reach 2,500 nanograms per deciliter in the blood. And that point, you could scale back to 60 milligrams a day or whatever, So instead of doing that, I ran some prop in the beginning of running enanthate until the enanthate had built up to a point where I didn't need the prop anymore. So I could just like feel my normal level of energy regarding what testosterone brings to the picture. Josh Walker, yes. Most clients that I've worked with have gotten better from PFS. And by gotten better, I mean, most of them are still running androgen, still running a protocol, because that's what you do. There's no known way to make it so that it's permanently better, because if you go back to your own inherent gonadotropins, well, there's people at 500 nanograms per deciliter total testosterone. All that system works fine and they still have ED, because they might need to be at 900, they might need to lower estrogen, they might need to manipulate their hormone protocol. So Yes, the only clients that there have been people that have not been able to help, and these are people that can't comply with the protocol. You know, there's one side effect or the other, or predominantly they're impatient with the process. Unfortunately, and I had just extended a guy for free who we did, I think, a 5-month program with. And I said, look, I'll work with you for the next 2-3 months for free, because there was some leftover stuff we had to figure out. That just left the program. He left the program because he wasn't patient enough and thinks he knows better. And he's having issues with his wife regarding libido and whatever. And it's like, okay, you want to jump ship and ultimately like prolong the time it's going to take for you to get better because you're impatient. Good luck. So in that regard, yeah, I have had people not comply. I've had people not comply. People spend a lot of money and then not comply. It's just idiotic. So it is somewhat of a problem. I'd say in 15% of coaching clients, you know, I have non-compliance, and I don't know what people's problem is. It's just one of those weird things. Mohammed, are there any downsides to short esters other than frequent pinning? Downsides to short esters other than frequent pinning? I honestly don't think so. You know, there is something to say about the fact that like test prop will, day of injection and like leading into the next day, it will raise your estradiol higher than you're used to. But most people are going to be able to tolerate that just fine, because then it's going to come back down. And you have a pretty good balance of testosterone, of very high levels of testosterone when you're using testosterone propionate. So, you know, the peak in estradiol could be troublesome for people, although it rarely is. But though, whatever you're dosing, like, you should be aware of estradiol and controlling estradiol regardless. People are on testosterone cypionate the most because it's most widely available. People don't have access to testosterone propionate, or they don't have a clinic that prescribes testosterone propionate, which some do, and you can easily, you know, go to those clinics. And how I see it is you have just Gen Pop, like, I'm not interested in learning anymore, I take 2 shots a week and it works fine for me kind of people. And that's great for them. But you also have some Gen Pop, not interested in learning, and 2 shots a week, it's been causing them issues for forever. And they can't get their dick straight or the libido straight or whatever, and they don't know what to do. This is where the application of shorter esters would fix their problem almost definitely, as well as estrogen control and probably some other tweaks. But they don't know any better, you know, and their clinics won't help them. Their clinics are not going to help them. So other than that, downsides to short esters, yeah, other than frequent application, nothing really, nothing. You know, I'm personally running testosterone cream on the shoulders at this point. I don't even need to worry about transference. You know, if I'm having sex with a woman, well, she'd probably be grabbing my shoulders at a certain point, but I'm not like rubbing my shoulders on her genitals. So I think the transfer problem is not going to be significant there. Honestly, I haven't really dosed aside from this test cycle previous to where I'm running now. Long ester. I haven't run a long ester for TRT in a long time. Yeah. And if I ever in my life go back to just TRT doses, which I'm sure I will at some point, but it'll just be 250, 300. I'm not sure it's going to be a long ester, man. Not sure. I learned that testosterone enanthate jived well with my body compared to testosterone cypionate. I think cypionate is the worst ester ever. I think it's fucking garbage. Some people do fine on it. I can do fine on it. It requires more control, but I generally don't feel as good compared to enanthate, propionate, and obviously testosterone cream. Yeah, I honestly think cypionate is garbage. That's my opinion. Swollen up, brother. Yeah, I mean, I'm on a lot of testosterone, so that's a big part of it. But lately, I've been eating a little more. You know, I don't really have abs right now, you know, and I'm kind of looking slightly chubby. But yeah, look, it's helping me build more muscle, honestly. But at the gym, I'm putting, I wouldn't say a lot of work. Like, I'm not there for 50 straight minutes killing it. You know, I work a muscle group a day, and it's like 25 to 30 minutes of push until failure and lifting heavy. So that's it. You know, at this rate, I mean, I'll be pretty fucking insane in about a year. This is basically what I look like now. You know, a little bit chubbier on the stomach, I think, right now than this picture. This picture, I was leaner than I am right now, but that's effectively where we're at. So we're gonna keep pushing, man. Chris, experience with DHT powder, still taking. I take it daily. Yeah, 15 milligrams sublingually. Yeah, again, at that low of a dose, it's less noticeable, but it's a good confidence boost. I feel like there's certainly a difference in my erectile quality. Like my boners are just thicker, stronger, more girth. You know, it's just an enhancement on top of baseline, which I really like. Other than that, yeah, there's a masculine, confident feeling that comes from DHT because it's the masculinizing hormone. One weird thing, I don't know if you guys can see, but like all this fuzz right here, this stuff, I never had that before. Okay. I had just my regular beard, but all this stuff is just extra beard growth. It's on this side too. It's just beard growth. I'm just growing hair on my face where I never had hair on my face. And so that's DHT for sure. Yeah, I can't say that I've grown much hair on my back or anything, which I appreciate. I guess I don't have the genes to have back hair, which I appreciate. My stomach is probably a little more hairy. I have to shave my chest because I do to see definition more when I'm taking DHT. So my body hair is growing more, but I'm Italian and French, and so my body hair is already fucking out of control. Other than that, I fucking love it, dude. It hasn't, at the doses I'm taking, really contributed to hair loss. It's not, you know, again, I've been running high doses for a while, so my hair is keeping up, but it would be better if I was running lower doses for my hair, I'll tell you that. All right, Ryan Parsons might jump on some injectable glutathione. What's your take on it? I think it's probably one of the best things you can do to aid yourself, your body, in reducing oxidative stress and clearing toxicants. I think it's probably one of the best things you can fucking do. Yeah. I don't like have a source for it. I mean, I'm sure I could get it, but I haven't thought to run injectable glutathione, but I think it would be pretty fucking awesome. Ketoconazole, I think there's some degree of systemic DHT inhibition that might happen as a result of that. It's supposed to be topical, but never know. I personally wouldn't use it. I just don't want to mess with DHT at all. Jay Horsley, thank you for your perspective. Eventually it's hair versus feeling good and having DHT, but I might be there. I use a microneedler, but I shed without minoxidil and dutasteride. Yes, right. You're going to shed either way if you don't have those in the picture. I mean, that sometimes it does come down to this. This is an important fork in the road for people. You know, it might come down to, are you going to keep, you know, your hair, or are you going to have a functional dick and confidence and masculinity? You know, I know that's it's easier said than done, and that must seem shallow coming from me with good hair genetics. But if it was me, I'd pick the DHT. I'd pick the DHT. But I think you shouldn't give up on your microneedling. You should probably take some tocotrienols as well. I think you shouldn't give up on that stuff either. And you should do everything you can to keep your hair, and maybe consider just getting a hair transplant. You know, if you're not Norwood 6 at this point and you still have the ability to take some hair from the side of your hair, which are resistant to, you know, high levels of free testosterone, it's really not DHT, then you might want to consider doing that. Mohammed, is anhedonia or low libido from ashwagandha used purely 5-HT1A, that's what you're referring to, and dopamine related, or is it much more comprehensive than that? It is neither 5-HT1A nor dopamine related. That is an internet myth. No one's ever fucking proven it. Yeah, that's people perpetuating bullshit. It's a hormone problem. It's an endocrine problem. That's what it is. It's an endocrine issue. It has nothing to do with a remote serotonin receptor, which has mild but some modulatory control over dopamine signaling, which is the 5-HT1A. Yeah. It's just never-ending postulating on the forums, which are filled with people who aren't better from any of these conditions. If it was as simple as the 5-HT1A receptor, I mean, you could upregulate it. You just antagonize it. You can upregulate it. There's plenty of other ways to upregulate neurotransmitter receptors as well. If it was that simple, I mean, these people would be cured, but it isn't. It is an endocrine problem, boys. Source list is officially here. Vetted source list. Anabolics, hormone hacking agents, ancillaries, erectogenic stuff, DHT powder, DHT gel, testosterone of all esters, officially here, guys. All right, it is officially launched. It's where I go when I open my laptop if I'm needing some test prop, or if I need some fucking Masteron, or if I want to run a cycle of Anavar, you know, anything really. It's where I go. If I need cheaper HCG, Pregnol right now is like $250 for 10,000 IU. That's utterly ridiculous. Who has time? Who has the money for this? Especially if you're dosing 500 IU every other day, which is kind of suggested in my opinion. Nobody has the money for that, you know, or at least if you do, principally, it's ridiculous to pay that much. So the source list offers options for cheaper HCG, cheaper everything, you know, but importantly, high quality stuff. It's the stuff that, you know, I go to when I need certain anabolics, obviously DHT, DHT powder, DHT gel, but also highly vetted over many years. I've tried all of the products, most of the products that I'm listing, all the testosterone esters with these vendors. There's many vendors. And on top of that, at the end of the source list, there is a link for you to go and see probably about 50 additional vendors on top of the chosen vendors that I put in that list. There's 50 additional vendors. Okay, that you can go read people's reviews about. You could read people's reviews about. That's probably the bulk of the value. It's like, here's my vetted sources, but then there's reviews of people of like 50 additional vendors laying out the shipping time, the quality of the anabolics, you know, customer service. Fucking very valuable information, man. Josh Walker, you think transplanted hair is DHT resistant? To an extent. Yeah, to an extent it is. Yes, transplanted hair, especially from the sides of your hair. I mean, this stuff over here, this is why you could start getting, you know, balding on the top, but you still have hair on the sides, you know, that famous pattern. Yeah, it is more resistant to what ultimately is higher levels of free testosterone. Yes. Chris, Masteron makes me tired and depressed at anything higher than 10-1 test to mass. Do you think I would experience similar negatives from DHT powder? No, it's not the same. It's not the same. Yeah, these other DHT derivatives have like AI properties, whereas DHT itself, maybe mildly, it's really just a genetic expression blocker of estrogen, but it is not the same thing. You know, as an example, I take DHT every day, still have to run an AI. Now, granted, I'm on high doses of testosterone, but even if I wasn't, I'd probably still need to run just a very little bit of an AI. So the DHT is not acting in my case as, you know, an aromatase inhibitor, nor would it, because it isn't. I mean, if you ask ChatGPT this, like just break down the difference between Proviron and pure DHT, and it'll tell you when Proviron acts as an AI, DHT doesn't. You know, it just acts as like an antagonist of the genetic expression of estrogen. Healing unyielding. My prolactin is very low from tumor treatments, but I'm still losing hair, so I don't think so. So you're taking cabergoline? Is that what it is? And you have a pituitary adenoma? Jay Brody, is it true that test enanthate intramuscular takes 4 to 6 weeks to peak and sub-Q takes 8 to 12? I don't know about the sub-Q 8 to 12. I would wager it peaks quicker than that. But generally speaking, yeah, 4 weeks, 5 weeks on, you know, test enanthate intramuscular, probably 4 weeks or so. Yeah, it's faster than testosterone cypionate, but it's still going to take time. You might be looking at 5 weeks right in the middle there. Yes, that is why if you're transitioning from like prop to enanthate or whatever, a fast acting ester or something to enanthate, or you're starting a testosterone enanthate cycle, you should probably just load the testosterone until you get to that point. You do not need to wait 4 to 6 weeks on a long ester. You can just load the test. Do 150 every other day, you know, for a week and a half, 2 weeks. That would probably take you about 2 weeks, and you'd be at like 2,000 nanograms per deciliter. But if you're not shooting for that, if you're shooting for just 1,200, yeah, I mean, just dose 100 every other day for a week and you'll be there. And then you can dial back to your 30 milligrams a day dose, or your 60 every other day, or whatever, 3.5 days kind of thing. But yeah, you would want to load the enanthate so you don't have to wait this time, because otherwise, yes, you will have to wait that time. Darren Hawkins, will I eventually have single digit prolactin if I keep using 0.25 cabergoline every week? Yes, it doesn't build up. It blocks prolactin secretion enough to where simultaneously as you're clearing prolactin, because you clear prolactin from the system as well, your body can't make enough of it in order for you to have like sustained 13 nanograms per milliliter or whatever. It's just going to keep going down. Yeah. Yep. It'll keep going down. it will keep going down. Now, 0.2, it depends on how it's going up, though. In your case, is your estrogen very high? Do you have a pituitary adenoma? You know, these things would make prolactin go up. Are you taking kratom? Are you smoking a lot of pot? Are you drinking a lot of booze? These things would make prolactin go up. And so 0.25 may not be enough to do that. It probably is. But if you're taking 0.25 twice a week, well, then fucking for sure, you know, unless you have a pituitary adenoma, in which case you might need more than that. Yeah, I've seen it be the case that people have got to load up on CAB, essentially taking higher doses. What was it? Yeah, 0.5 every other day. Now that was a high fucking dose, but I've seen that be the case. And then prolactin got down to a very reasonable level, and then that person could slowly dial back carefully with some regression and having to go back on higher doses, then back on lower doses, and back blah, 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 blah. Someone was saying that if prolactin was low, DHT won't cause hair loss. Don't know if there's a no, that's probably not. I don't think there's a mechanism for that. J122, what do you think about Chase Iron saying high test only is safe? If that's the case, what's the point of TRT? I have that same question. Even more tests if you're already HPTCA suppressed. Well, I mean, look, higher test, no matter what, is usually going to equal more of a burden on blood pressure and hematocrits. But again, there are things you can do, should do, have to do to control those things, like cardio and like taking Naringin and whatever else you might do, taking medications that lower blood pressure, etc. I'm a lucky individual, and I honestly think I can attribute that to 15 years or so of my adult life running, doing cardio, that my blood pressure has never moved on TRT cycle doses of testosterone. It just doesn't move. And I eat a lot of salt, oddly. I eat a lot of salt. My blood pressure just does not get fucked up. So I honestly think that's just, you know, a decade or more of running. I really think that. But what do I think about Chase saying that test only, you know, at high doses is safe? I think he's right. That's what I think. I think at least right now he's right. You know, my opinion could change over time if I have more information, but based on the information that I have right now, I think that Chase is right. Yeah, I think he's right. It's people start, you know, like bodybuilders start having health problems when, you know, they're on loads of gear. It's not just testosterone. They're on EQ. They're on, you know, fucking 1,000 milligrams of Masteron. They're on, I think HGH is probably harmless, but they're on loads of aromatase inhibitors, and, you know, they're just taking a ton of other additional anabolics that are not cardio, particularly cardio safe, like Anavar, you know, as an example. And they're doing that long term over long periods of time. And they're throwing down ungodly amounts of food, just like excessive amounts of food. So, you know, yeah, they're straining the heart. There's all these fucking problems with blood pressure issues. Some of these people don't look at their labs. I mean, some of them, which is obviously irresponsible. And so there's where you really have problems. I mean, I know some individuals that have run between 350 and a gram a test for the last 30 years. I know them personally. 30 years of between 350 and a gram of testosterone a week. These guys are 65 and strong as fuck, dude. More healthy than other 65-year-olds walking around all frail. So I think he's right. To be honest, I think he's right. Yep, this is all bullshit here, guys. I don't want to sound like a dick, but all this SJW and hypericin versus the other one, Remotive, like, which is the Z17, whatever. Yeah, you're not going to upregulate 5-HT1A, nor will it even matter. It'll be inconsequential. If you're one of those people that has sexual dysfunction from ashwagandha and SSRI, here's the best favor you can do yourself. Cease all thinking about the 5-HT1A receptor, because all it's doing is being a red herring and blocking you from focusing on what really fucking matters in this case, which is hormones. That's it. Yeah, Remotive isn't going to help. Of course not. T-Wolf, 30 milligrams, not ABBC for 30 days. Is that a sufficient protocol for dopamine pathway restoration? It's a sufficient protocol for the attempt to restore some dopamine, you know, firing in these pathways. Yes. Taking it with P5P would be fine, but I don't think you have a real purpose for that. Well, low dose P5P would synthesize more dopamine, would give you more to use. And the 9-MeBC would be like restoring the genetic expression of tyrosine hydroxylase, among other things, which would be good for dopamine. But I think that's a sufficient protocol. You know, you might find that you need slightly more, so 50 milligrams for 50 days. I guess it all depends on the situation. Scott, my prolactin was 51 6 weeks ago. Stopped my CJC ipamorelin. 6 weeks later, it's 34. Should I be concerned? Those things do raise prolactin. Yeah, growth hormone itself has a very strong interplay with prolactin. And the more you stimulate growth hormone, the more you're probably going to stimulate the lactotropes, which secrete prolactin. So if I were you, I'd just not take the those peptides. I wouldn't take those peptides because they're prolactogenic. They actually are prolactogenic. Most growth hormone secretagogues, growth hormone stuff is prolactogenic, so just be careful of that. Justin's doing the morning bike ride listening to the podcast. Love that, bro. That's fucking cool, man. Getting some cardio, brethren. Hey, brethren. Zachary Chase. I'm on 3 pumps of cream all at once in the morning, transscrotal. I have to take HCG every other day practically to balance out estrogen. Should I try applying it elsewhere for a better result? Well, where balance out estrogen in what regard? You meaning estrogen's going too high? Or you need to have estrogen higher and that's why you need to take the HCG? Yeah, in that case, as I broke down recently, you would just rub that cream on the shoulders. I think you get a little more estradiol. Yeah, I mean, if you get the 5-alpha reductase 2 and pubic scan and you're just applying cream to that, and then you're getting more DHT conversion than you would if you were to apply it to the shoulders. Applying to the shoulders doesn't remove DHT conversion. You're still getting it, you know, and a lot of it, but not as much as applying to the testicles, in my opinion. And so you probably have a better balance of estradiol. That was the whole point of my video about rubbing on the shoulders. I've seen it work in my client work, as well as I saw it for myself. Like it's a little easier to dial in if I'm rubbing on the shoulders, and it doesn't have any less impact on anabolism. It's more anabolic. I'm more anabolic rubbing on the shoulders than I am the testicles. Hard to explain other than potential higher density of ARs in the shoulders. I mean, that's all I can really attribute that to. Would test cream be the best option for people taking finasteride due to DHT impact? No. For TRT, it would probably be either test cream on the testicles or testosterone propionate at high doses, 70 milligrams a day. Even then, so you might not get enough DHT that you need. And you're probably gonna have to do, you know, if you have problems, dick problems, you'll have to do some other aggressive stuff like PD5 therapy with vacuum erection devices, like penile rehab. But yeah, I don't see a case in which you can compensate for finasteride's a negative effect other than the use of exogenous DHT while taking it, which is going to cancel out your hair loss, you know, your hair loss prevention goals. And that is worth it. Believe me. Zachary Chase, how soon after taking tests to get labs done if I were to work with you 4 hours or skip the morning dose? Wait, how soon after taking tests to get labs done if I were to work? Oh, 4 hours. Well, it depends on the ester really and what you're trying to figure out. Like, are you trying to figure out where the peak is? I just trying to figure out where levels are. You know, you can only really be educated on what's happening with at least a fast acting ester, running it at like, you know, when it peaks to see where you peak, and then running it when it's technically supposed to trough to see where you trough, you know? So it's difficult to say, man. If you're running a long ester, I mean, it also depends on injection frequency. If you're injecting every day, you probably want to run the labs at like 4 or 5 p.m. is probably when you'll top off for that day. You know, after which it's just going to kind of go back to or trough down to like very close to where that is anyway. You know, if you're running a long ester, you're kind of like all the time, pretty much the same levels, unless you're doing infrequent injections. To be fair, high testosterone can resensitize and regulate 5-HT1A while currently lowering tryptophan hydroxylase. So the 5-HT1A still seems important in my particular case. Test DHT still helps a ton though. Yeah. 5-HT1A is completely inconsequential to any sexual dysfunction. whether it has some resensitizing or upregulatory aspects to 5-HT1A or not. It's look. 10 years ago, there was a guy who did a YouTube video with a theory on PSSD about the 5-HT1A receptor, and he sounded smart because maybe he had a science background or whatever. 10 years ago, and this influenced a lot of people to waste 10 fucking years looking at a serotonin receptor, which has nothing to do with sexual dysfunction in these cases. The fact that you even know about this receptor means you consumed forum-based PSSD content. It means you consumed content about PSSD perpetuated in web forms. I know you did. Otherwise, you wouldn't know about the 5-HT1A receptor in this theory. I know that's what you're looking at. And therein lies people who will never get better because they're unwilling to look at it, the serotonin box, and unwilling to look at the only thing that really matters, which is the endocrine system. It doesn't fucking matter, okay? I'm not trying to be a dick, but I'm trying to help you fucking people from wasting your goddamn time. It doesn't fucking matter. Okay? Please take heed. Focus on hormones. Mohammed, do you personally prefer pitting test prop and dopamine more than anything? If you want to think about neurotransmitters, think about dopamine. That's what you want to think about. Do you personally prefer pitting test prop daily or every other day? Probably every day. Yeah, it's a pain in the ass, sure, but I don't care. I mean, I rub cream twice a day on my body. I don't care. Yeah, if I went back to just prop, it'd be 70 milligrams a day. Yeah, so 490 a week. That's what I would do. I liked how I felt there. I really liked how I felt on that. So that's probably what I would do. NAD plus will help. It is a cofactor for the synthesis of the 5-AR enzymes, but in and of itself is not going to restore 5-AR activity. DHT itself, though, will over time. Josh Walker, once recovering from PFS, is it forever ending balancing active hormones, or will you be free to blast again? I think you could probably blast testosterone and stuff again, but regardless, you'll still have to micromanage your estrogen and, just pay attention to all the ancillaries that you're bringing in. If I go very high on particularly a long ester, then I need more HCG to keep my testicles functional and load size adequate because there's more suppression, right? So, but any degree of sexual dysfunction, if you get a protocol that works, people tend to think, okay, can I do that for 6 months and then I'm cured? Well, no, you're curing yourself with the hormones so long as you're taking them, right? Because cured in a natural state means all that stuff works well. But if that stuff doesn't work well or can't ever work well again, well then, yeah, you should be on hormones. It's almost like saying, if I've been starved of food and then I start eating again and then I feel better and I'm nourished and everything, can I then stop eating food? No, you need food for the rest of your life. So yeah, you probably want to stay on the hormones forever. Would you say that lowering cardio lowers hematocrit? I feel like it would raise as your body secrete EPO, right, when you're hypoxic. No, it lowers it. Also, I run a lot of my hematocrit is past reference range as a natty. Can you explain this? You either smoke cigarettes, drink a lot of alcohol, or, are you at elevation consistently? That's one reason your hematocrit could be substantially high. Other than that, you probably want to look at some genetic thing that's causing this to happen. Because, yeah, running, I don't know what kind of cardio you're doing. If you're doing the elliptical, it's not really the hematocrit lowering cardio that you really need to do. Yes, I'm taking tocotrienols for hair. Yup. Too complex of a question for this. Might want to super chat that. Or you could also donate blood and fix that issue, definitely. Mohammed, could someone do well on 490 milligrams a week of testosterone propionate? Yes, the answer is yes, absolutely. Test prop is a lot more forgiving, in terms of hematological stuff than other esters, because you have a trough with it, and it just peaks and then it drops back down. Which I think is very useful, especially for the genetic expression side of things of androgen responsive genes. So you get a lot of benefit from doing, high doses of a short ester in this case, but 490 of test prop a week is not a lot of testosterone in my opinion. Yeah. 2 grams of test prop a week would be probably troublesome. And that's a lot of testosterone, even a gram. But $490 a week, yeah, I felt amazing on that. You know, bloods were fucking incredible and everything worked well. I had to manage estrogen, but so long as I did that, everything worked really well. You know, and I felt really good. Yeah, I mean, I like that protocol. I like injecting 70 milligrams in the glute of prop a day. At some point I might go back to that. I don't know, but who knows? JA122, what do you think about Dave's Lee's stance against HCG? Do you think it's feminizing in the long term? No, I think that if people are lacking DHT, it could be feminizing via an increasing estrogen. Yeah. Do I think that HCG for some people tips the scales, you know, to estradiol more than they would otherwise have? Well, yes, it does. Do I think it's inherently feminizing in that, like, if you know, comparable to, you know, giving a male excessive progesterone and estrogen as HRT to convert him to a female? No way. No way. Yeah, I think, I mean, there's very few people that can get away with not taking HCG on testosterone. There's just very few people that can do it. And for those that don't have to take it, more power to them, for sure. But I think that if you listen to me and Dave talked about this on my podcast, if you listen to his language, he actually said, he broke down his logic for why this is the case, or really the culprit. And he said, you know, it's inherently feminizing. It's estrogen, you know, it's estrogenizing or something to this effect. It's estrogen. That's it. Yeah, estrogen can be feminizing. In the presence of inadequate testosterone and DHT, it can be feminizing. So I don't think inherently it's a problem, but do you have to think about estrogen more and keeping it in a reasonable state while on HCG? Yes. Yes, he's not wrong about that. Is it, you know, going to somehow block dihydrotestosterone? No. In fact, HCG will help the testicles function better for more intratesticular DHT conversion to happen. So, you know, is HCG the best option? If we could somehow make kisspeptin work in a way which was practical application wise, because it's impractical to, like, you know, have a slow releasing pump or to do sub-Q 20 microgram injections every 2 hours, then probably kisspeptin would be better. But we just don't have another option. You know, we don't have another option, man. Samuel, are you still 180 pounds? I'm about 180. Yeah. How much volume sets are you doing in the gym? I mean, just to give an example, like, today I will do chest. I'll just go and do regular bench press, 225 pounds in total, sets of 10 reps, and I will do 6 to 7 sets of 10 reps, and then I'm out of there. Yeah, that's basically where I'm at. And that's pretty comparable, like, you know, dumbbells, I'm at 35 to 45 pounds, really depends on what's going on and if my shoulders hurt or if something hurts. 7 sets of, in that case, yeah, between 7 and 10 reps. Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. At this point, do I like cream or prop more? Good question. Oh, man, I don't know, dude. Fuck, bro. Probably, I don't know. I honestly don't know. They're so close together in terms of how awesome they are. Probably prop, because I just like testosterone propionate. I don't know, man. I think on slightly lower doses of topically applied or shoulder applied testosterone cream, I'm more anabolic than the same dose or than slightly higher doses of test prop. Not sure why. I have my theories on that, but I think I'm a little more anabolic on cream at the same or slightly lower dose than whatever dose, like slightly higher dose of prop. So there's that benefit of cream. Cream is easy. You don't have to inject. You know, prop is awesome. It peaks very fast. So I don't know, man. I don't know. This is a good question. After stem cell treatment, the positive clarity effect of 500 milligrams testosterone a week went away. I don't know. I couldn't explain. I'd have to look into your situation to try to understand more. Mohammed is saying 90% of the information I know about PSSD is from the stream. You would be stuck on the never-ending supplement route if it wasn't for me. You're welcome. And I hope that I can sway more people away from the never-ending supplement route. Have you tried inositol? Come on. Inositol's not doing anything for you guys. I'm glad you recognize that, bro. It's all about getting people the right information so they can be better. You know, and I very much get frustrated with dogmatic views and people staying on the same thing when it isn't helping them. I'm telling you guys, I'm on the other side. Like, I've seen it all over the years, you know. I'm just trying to scream with a megaphone like, you're doing the wrong thing. But, you know, people are stubborn. Have I tried testosterone troches? No. Heard it peaks quicker. No, I don't think that would be particularly useful, honestly. Yeah, I think those things like oral TRT and there's like a nasal gel, you really don't get as much of the conversion, enough of the conversion to metabolites that you might need. So I don't think they're very useful for TRT. Yeah. Mr. R has been up to 1,600 of total tests and estradiol still don't rise. You'll probably get on HCG or maybe take some more tests. In that case, you might need a little more test. Josh, after a while, so regarding managing estrogen and how frequent you should run bloods to, you know, manage estrogen, after a while, you kind of get to the point where you know when estrogen's too high and you know what dose, hopefully, because you've strategically worked on this over time, of whatever DHT derivative or aromatase inhibitor to take to lower it to whatever range you've deemed is good for you. And so you have to run labs less. You know, I the only reason I run estrogen labs now is out of curiosity to see where they are, you know, at certain things. You know, my dick will work good. Everything will work good. I won't have any estrogenic side effects, but I might be curious to see where it is. I kind of generally know, but, you know, but, you know, again, I've talked about this before. If you're dialing in an AI dose, I mean, you're going to want to run it like 24 hours after dosing the AI, and you're going to want to run it depending on the AI. Like if it's an anastrozole on day 3, when an anastrozole stops binding to the heme iron of the aromatase enzyme and estrogen starts creeping up, so that you can see just how much it's creeping up. So that gives you strategy on how frequently to dose an anastrozole moving forward. With aromasin, yeah, somewhat the same after 24 hours, but then you want to run it again at about day 5. That's when it's going to start rebounding. It takes longer to rebound with aromasin because you've got to build more aromatase enzymes. Now, if you drank more alcohol, which I don't suggest, but if you drank more booze, you would replenish those new aromatase enzymes faster. I do believe that. Yeah, alcohol's like upregulatory of aromatase activity. Is 30 grams of DHT reasonable instead of running an AI? No, that is not reasonable. That is 30 grams? No, you wouldn't want to take 30 grams of DHT. You would feel fucking terrible. I wouldn't take that at all. Alex, how often do you train muscles per week? Or are you getting bigger and leaner? Has your weight been going the last 6 months? I'm on a testosterone cycle now. I have been for 3.5 months. I train every day with the exception of, occasional day off just to kind of rest. Maybe a week of deloading because I've hurt my shoulder or hurt something. Again, like 6 or 7 sets of 10 reps of the heaviest weight I can push till failure. That's kind of where I'm at. And I'll look like a monster in a year if I continue this, you know? Yeah. I mean, I'm getting bigger and I'm leaner and whatever, or I'm more muscular and stuff. But I think there's a lot more to go on that, you know? Yeah. And I don't necessarily want to I don't want to look like Chase Irons. I don't want to look like Vigorous Steve. I don't want to look like very big. You know, I'm fucking 5'10". Like I think I just want to, I like that slender but muscular look. I really like that. And I think the girlies like it too, brother. All right, boys, I'm gonna end the stream again. Listen, source list is officially live, livecortex.com. Okay, vetted source list of anabolics, hormone hacking agents, ancillaries, HCG, tadalafil, DHT itself. Please go get it. I know you guys have been waiting for this, so it's officially live and launched. Probably the greatest value in addition to the sources that I've already personally vetted myself, where I get their products, I buy their products, is at the end of the source list, there's a link for an additional set of 50 more sources where real people like us have reviewed them. This is how long the shipping took. I got test sip from them. I got master from them. This is what happened, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's where I think a lot of the value is in that in the source list. So it's live. It's the first edition. It will be updated as more sources come along and if sources change. So keep that in mind. livecortex.com. Boys, much more content coming this week. Monday, Wednesday, maybe a live stream later on in the week. Obviously Saturday live stream, 9 a.m. Eastern time, 9:30 Eastern time. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you're ready for the winter. It's fucking coming whether we like it or not, unless you live in Florida, North Carolina, or California. We're just gonna grin and bear it, you know, suck it up and wear warm shit. Fucking whatever. Let's just get it done so we can get back to the spring and get back to being outside all the time. Love you guys. Great questions. All right. And I will chat with you super soon.